Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another new season of Overwatch 2, Season 7. And that means another new tier list, because I'm going to be real with you guys, not really much has changed, but we're going to go through and we're going to rank everything. The one major thing we did get was a Sombra rework. Were they successful in actually reworking Sombra? We're going to find out, we're going to talk about it. There's a few other things, little minor changes, but before we do get into this, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. I really appreciate it. If you guys missed the last tier list for Season 6, I'll leave a link to that at the end of the video. Go check that video out. I'm going to try not to make this video really long, because I do want to make like a separate video kind of just talking about the sad state of the game right now. Overall, I think the game right now is just awful. I really do. Just with like my initial thoughts going into this. The state of the game is really bad right now, and the game is suffering from power creep. Supports are probably the best thing ever. Like games, I think every single match is just decided based off the supports. Like whatever team has the better supports, or like better support combo on their team. That is legit what single match is pretty much determined off of. Tanks, apart from maybe 2 or 3 tanks right now, are actually having like any impact in a match. If you're not playing like a certain 2 or 3 tanks, every single other tank is pretty much irrelevant, has no play-making potential at all, and no matter what you do to try to carry the game, you're pretty much made irrelevant by the enemy team supports, and you're pretty much shut down and determined by the enemy team supports, and your supports, how bad or good they are. DPS right now are kind of in a bad spot. There's some that are really, really good, but then you have like half the DPS roster that is pretty bad. Not good at all. Then you have almost the entire support category, apart from maybe 2 or 3 supports that are just beyond busted broken, that need to be just incredibly nerfed into the ground, which we're going to talk about. But I think right now, if you're a tank player like me, you're just really suffering, and the game just is not fun at all, which I'm going to make an entire video kind of talking about the game. If you guys are wondering where a lot of the Overwatch content has been, especially through the entirety of Season 6, I know I usually put out a lot more Overwatch 2 content than I did for that entire season and up till now. The game has been garbage, that's why. The game has been really unfun, and mainly that I play tank, I'm a tank player, the game has been absolutely fucking insufferable. So that's where a lot of the content has been. I don't even want to play the game for pretty much the entirety of last season, apart from like the first few weeks. And it's looking like it's going to be the same thing for this season, so I'm going to try to get some Overwatch content out for you guys, but if you guys don't get that much stuff from me, that's the main reason why. And I only maybe stream the game maybe like once a week, apart from like doing videos. That's the main reason why. Just because the game is just so insufferable playing the game as a tank. So that being said, after that entire like 5-minute rant, I'll throw the list on screen for you guys right now. We got SS tier. This is stuff that's going to need major nerfs. This is stuff that is like legit the stuff that is determining and kind of running the game and kind of just dictating how the game plays right now. A+ is your above average stuff, not really like in the same tier as an SS tier, but could use a few slight minor nerfs to bring them more in line. A tier is the balanced tier. These are the very few handful of heroes that are actually balanced in the game right now, and I think do not need any type of balance changes going forward. Got B tier, which is below average. C is really situational. D is extremely situational. Maybe with only like 1 team comp or 1 map that's actually good on. F tier is your heroes that are just absolute fucking dog shit. There is no reason to play these heroes at all. They need to be entirely reworked or like buffed into oblivion. And even then, they still might not be good to actually be able to play them. If you can play them, but you're just ripping your hair out and you're just throwing your controller across the room, just playing these heroes because there's no reason to play them with how awful they are over like anything else. Got the needs reworked here, which is for the heroes that need some reworks. There's still one on the horizon that's going to be getting reworked, which is Hulk, which we'll talk about. And then you have rework again, epic fail. Spoiler alert, you guys probably know who that is, because there is one hero that's already in the game with the launch of Season 7 that actually got reworked. And she's a hacker legend. You guys probably know who it is. So we'll talk about it. That's a spoiler tier for that. But apart from that, we're going to hop right into this. Keep in mind this is a list as well just for your mainly like your average tier ranked player. This is not a pro player tier list. This is not a tier list for Overwatch tournaments or pro player tournaments. This is not a tier list for playing in a 2 or a 3 stack. This is mainly a solo queue average player ranked tier list or play like type of tier list for those type of players. For the majority of the players, from like mid-tier silver all the way up to maybe like low-tier diamonds at the very highest. That's where the majority of the players are. And that's where I also am, so keep that in mind. That is what this tier list is for. So if there's some stuff on this tier list that looks weird or a lot of the tier list looks different, then that's probably why, because I know I'm going to have somebody that says that in the comments eventually, just like last time. Because obviously they never watched the entire video and they just went right to the comment section to braid people. First we got Bastion. Bastion's going right on up into SS tier. You know, want to know what's funny, y'all? Bastion is probably the one of the DPS in the game right now that takes like the least amount of skill out of anything. I think the only thing you need to know how to do on Bastion is when to turn into a sentry and when to turn into turn form. Just like know when to click that button. Apart from that, you don't need to know how to do anything else. He pretty much plays the game for you with how much damage he does. They gave him a slight nerf towards the end of Season 6, but the nerf did not do anything and it was not nearly enough. Busted. Bastion needs major nerfs. He is so brain dead, he is so skillless, and he pretty much makes tank unfucking playable. He melts almost, I think maybe like 90% of the roster for tanks. I think Bastion can have a chance of 1v1ing them in turret form. Crazy. If you have a DPS in the game that is able to 1v1 that much of your main tank roster, there is a problem balance-wise. Why does Blizzard not listen to the player base? Why did they not even do anything? Why did we go into Season 7 with no changes to Bastion? I have no idea. Needs to be nerfed into the ground. I'm sick of playing against him, especially as someone that plays tank the majority of the time. He makes the game absolutely fucking insufferable. Please nerf him into the ground, please. McCree got some buffs. They buffed McCree now to where if you dodge roll, you get a 75% damage reduction on your dodge roll, making it so now if you time it right, you can actually live a Riptire and you can actually live a Pulse Bomb if you dodge roll at the correct time. Will your average player be doing that type of thing? Probably not. Not really going to be doing that until you're like your mid to higher tiers of play. Your average player usually is going to use the dodge roll just to mainly reload and try to combo off it. But you do see a lot more play with McCree, and I think he is going to rise up and probably to like needing to have that change reverted, because there is some crazy combos that I've already been seeing to where you're able to just dive on somebody and like soak up some damage to allow yourself to actually just fan the hammer twice. So you fan the hammer once, almost kill somebody, dodge roll really quick when they try to react and throw damage at you, and then fan the hammer again to pretty much like kill them in maybe like 2 seconds. That's another combo people are starting to do right now as well. I think that is really going to catch on going forward. So keep in mind, I'll put him in A+ right now, but depending on when you guys are seeing this, you can probably be in SS tier. I don't know if I'm going to do like a mid-season tier list for this again as well, but probably I'm going to make a prediction right now. Going into like mid-season for this Season 7, I think McCree's probably going to be SS tier and he's going to need that buff reverted. Just a useless change. And that's kind of the theme with a lot of the balance changes recently, and especially over the last few seasons. A lot of them are just unnecessary and they make no sense. And a lot of the heroes that get them don't even need the changes at all. They just give changes to random heroes for random reasons that make no sense. And then they wonder why the game is so awful to play. I don't understand. D.Va. I think D.Va right now is probably A+ tier. I really do. I think the only reason D.Va is kind of not really an SS tier is just because the supports have so much mobility. The one thing D.Va likes to really do is just dive on supports and be able to dive on stuff, and she can't really do that because like every single support in the game, apart from like 2 or 3 of them, have crazy mobility and do more damage than you do as a tank, which is another huge problem with the game. They're able to out-damage you most of the time, which is crazy as a support. Or just hit you with a shit ton of CC if you can't absorb it with your defense matrix. But I do think she's A+ tier. She could be higher, but I'm going to put her right here, right now, I think. I wouldn't say she's balanced, but I think she's kind of just being held back with a lot of the better supports and stuff that has a shit ton of mobility or CC. Not bad at all, though. I think if you're really good at D.Va, I think you can still make her work. She is still pretty good. Genji, I'm going to put it, I think, in A+ tier. I think he's still really good. And with the supports being incredibly good, especially a lot of like pocket supports like Mercy, Ana, and a lot of supports you can actually pair with them really well. Life Weaver and a bunch of other ones. They all enable Genji, and that allows Genji to play way better than he should be. So I know there's going to be somebody that disagrees with me on that, but with supports being as good as they are, you cannot deny that Genji, when supports are good, is also incredibly good. He's also still really annoying to play against. Hanzo is SS tier, putting him right into SS tier. I don't know, what has changed with Hanzo since last season? Nothing. Nothing with him has changed. They try to rework his one-shot, but he still is able to one-shot, headshot people from halfway across the map. Able to burst people down in like 2 seconds. Still has really good mobility, able to still climb walls. Still has a really solid ult. And you're going to even see him be played more now because he also got a mythic skin in the battle pass, so that's going to be fun. Can't wait to play against all the Hanzo one-trick sweats with the new mythic skin. That's going to be real fun. Nothing with him's changed. He needs to be absolutely fucking nerfed into the ground. Crazy good. Really brain dead to the borderline, like, almost to the point of Bastion, but at least with Hanzo you kind of need to aim. Bastion, you kind of just sit there and look at stuff and melt stuff, so... I think Junkrat right now, I think Junkrat's probably B tier. I think the only reason Junkrat is actually being held back is just because everything has mobility, and there's just a lot better stuff to play right now, especially for DPS. And with supports being really good, you just can't really do your job that well. A lot of the damage you do just gets healed up instantly. That is the main problem with Junkrat. He is meant to do a shit ton of damage in AoE and that type of thing, or like burst damage. And you can't really do burst damage when everything else has more mobility than you do. And you can't really do that much damage, at least like in an AoE, when everybody just automatically out-heals all your damage instantly. So that's kind of where he is. He is good on a lot of maps, though. That's the one thing that's good about him. If you are really good, you can still make him work. Lucio. I think Lucio right now is one of the only supports in the game that actually is kind of bad. But I don't think that's really a bad thing, just because there's so many other good supports. I think the only reason he's being held down is just mainly because a lot of the other supports need to be nerfed into the ground or like entirely reworked. Once some of the other supports like get nerfed into the ground or reworked, I think Lucio by default, without any changes or buffs, will slowly start rising back up again. I really do. Right now, the main problem with Lucio is there's no reason to pick him over like any other support. Even for the speed boost, every other support just provides way more than what he does, and that's the main problem with him. Every other support is just so fucking power crept to the point where it's pretty much crept Lucio out of the game, pretty much. That's the main problem with him. Why would I play Lucio when I can play a Lari, out-damage the majority of the tanks and the DPS in the game, and then still heal everybody? And half the time, the healing isn't even done by me. I have a auto-heal turret that heals everybody by itself. Why would I pick Lucio for that? I have no idea over that type of stuff. Mei got buffed again. Going up to SS plus tier. Incredibly good. They reverted her changes that they gave her to her bionic gun or whatever it is. Back to where it does less damage, or like I think back to 100 damage a second with the slow or whatever it is. Pretty much what it was before they screwed around with it for last season. Back to being busted, back to being broken. Nothing really else to say. If you guys play Mei, go play her, because you just run at people and you freeze them, and then you just sit there and damage them constantly. And then every time you get low on health, you turn into an ice block and walk away. There you go. That's how you play Mei. Really boring, but really brain dead. I'm gonna put Mercy needs a rework. I don't think they'll ever rework Mercy, but she needs an entire rework. She's too easy to play and she gets too much value. I say it every single tier list, and it's the same thing for this season as well. Way too good of heals. Blue Beam is way too good. She has way too good of mobility. I don't know. Even if they would just rework her ult, I feel like the worst thing about her is her ult. But even then, I think if they were to just give her like an actual ult, that would make her even more busted. I don't know what you even do with her. And they'll never rework her because she's one of the heroes in the game that sells the most amount of skins. And Blizzard, if you guys haven't been inside the game, I think the one thing that got updated the most was the shop for this season out of anything else. So you gotta know where Blizzard's priorities are lying right now with the money-wise. If they're selling skins on Mercy, they're never gonna touch Mercy balance-wise because they'll lose money. That's why. They don't care about the players of the game, just how much money they can make. Just go look at the shop. The shop is, I think, the most, like, the biggest update out of the entirety of anything out of Season 7. The shop is what got updated the most. Pharah, I think Pharah's balanced. I really do. It just comes down to if you pair her with Mercy. If you pair her with Mercy, I'd put her a little bit higher. But I think overall, just by herself, I think she's A tier right now. I wouldn't really change her at all. I think she's in a balanced spot, actually, which is really rare to say. Reaper going to SS tier. I say the same thing every goddamn tier list. Same thing for this one. I just don't know why he has so much lifesteal, and I still have no idea why he's still able to 1v1 like half the tank roster and somehow win 1v1s versus tanks as a DPS. I still don't know. How is that balanced? I have no idea. Reinhardt fucking sucks. Talk a little bit about Reinhardt. I don't know about you guys, but like recently, at least when you guys are seeing this, especially towards like the end of Season 6, I've been kind of trying to get back to learning Reinhardt because I did play him a shit ton in Overwatch 1. I haven't really played him like an incredible amount up until like recently, at least for Overwatch 2. And the reason why nobody plays him, and I've been finding this out over the last few weeks, just trying to get back to playing him and get better at him, it's just because he's garbage. The problem with Reinhardt is everything in the game has some type of mobility. And the one thing that you can pair with him is Lucio if you want to try to get some value out of him. And Lucio isn't even that good, so you're barely going to ever have Lucio on your team to actually help you, especially if you're solo queuing. The problem with Reinhardt is he's been pretty much power crept out of the entire game. I think he's pretty much unplayable right now, unless you're like cracked at him. You land every single pin, you land every single ult, you get like a 3, 4, 5 man shatter every single time. Like that's the only time you can really play him. I think the guy is pretty much unplayable. He's really fun to play when you can actually make him work, but I think the only time you can get him to work is if you're going against teams of losers. Any team that at least has one brain cell and at least somewhat knows how to play the game will just make you do nothing and make your life a living hell playing tank and playing Ryan. I really do. You just pretty much have to spend power crept out of the game. Like, look at the entire hero roster of, like, all the supports. Like, you compare this roster to, like, Overwatch 1. How many things in this game have mobility? In Overwatch 1, you were kind of able to do whatever you want. You could swing on whatever you wanted, get a bunch of damage, actually be a tank that made space, and actually provided something for your team. Now I feel like what I provide is I have the highest shield damage every single game, or the highest shield mitigation every single match. That is the highest stat I have every single game. Does it feel good holding a shield up 90% of a match? No, it does not. Unfortunately, that's what it ends up being half the time. Just because you're not able to do anything because either you're getting dove by like multiple people and you can't out-damage them, and if you do try to damage them, they get healed instantly with how good the supports are. Or you try to dive on somebody and they just run away from you because everything in there has fucking mobility nowadays. There's not much in the game that does not have mobility anymore. And even if a lot of the stuff that does have, like, little mobility has a lot of burst damage and able to burst you down really fast. So, like, an example of that is, like, McCree and, like, Hanzo. McCree now has a dodge roll that gives you 75% damage reduction. So if you try to dive onto McCree, the guy is going to fan the hammer you, dodge roll, eat all your damage, eat a couple swings from you, and then fan the hammer again for, like, about almost 75% of your health bar. And then you're forced to retreat, and then you're fucked again. That's one matchup that you can no longer win because more power creep random buffs keep coming into the game. Same with stuff like Hanzo. Hanzo, you can usually dive on Hanzo, but he has a dash. I don't know, Storm Arrow, like, I think whatever, Arrow Barrage or whatever he has, bursts you down. He's able to leap away, and then either if he can land a few headshots on you or climb up a wall, he can get away from you really easily. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. And then even like look at all the supports in the game. Like look at how many supports have mobility in this game. Lucio has a speed boost, but I wouldn't really consider that much mobility. Like Kiriko has a teleport. Lifeweaver has a really long dash and a flower that he can go into the sky on, which pretty much makes you irrelevant because you can't destroy it apart from using Fire Strike on it, which you're wasting cooldowns, and at that point you're just wasting your time. Alari has a knockback. Moira has a fade, you can get away. And Ana doesn't have any mobility, but if you try to dive on her, she can hit you with a nade and then sleep your ass, and then you're pretty much dead anyways. Like, look at all the supports in the game, and like, look at everything in the game that just shits on you. I think maybe one of the only two supports in the game that you can maybe, like, dive onto and actually do something would be Brig, but she also got buffed this patch to where her whip shot actually does more damage and has a bigger knockback. So that's a bad thing, but if you can try to get closer, you can maybe 1v1 her, and then maybe Zen, if you can get close enough and get on him fast enough, before he's able to pretty much delete you with damage orb. Apart from that, every other support in the game, you pretty much get shit on by her, and they just run away from you, and you get shit on from a distance. I don't know, I feel like Ryan just had the biggest fall off, especially playing him a lot more recently. Awful. And if one of your mascots and one of your main characters that's like the face of your game is this fucking bad, you know there is a major goddamn problem balance-wise with your game. Hog, same thing. Hog's going to be getting reworked, but at least at the time I'm making this, he's not reworked yet. He's not going to be reworked until mid-season. Judging by how awful Sombra rework was, I am not having any hope to where they actually rework Hog for him being better. Sombra rework did nothing for her, so... And Hog's still pretty much the exact same thing. If you guys want to sit and listen to a big Hog rant about how bad he is, check out the tier list for Season 6, because it's pretty much the exact same thing. I'm not going to sit here and waste more of you guys' time, because nothing with him's changed. Awful. Awful tank. Soldier, going right on up into SS tier. Right on up into SS tier. Auto aim ult, self-healing, self-mobility, and he pairs out really well with a lot of the pocket supports like Mercy and a bunch of the other ones. What more do I need to say? Symmetra, C tier, kind of the same as last time. Torbjorn got a few nerfs, but I still think he's really, really good. A+ tier. Tracer, I think can be really good. Tracer's more of one that kind of depends on the player. If you're incredibly good with her, I'd probably put her A+ tier, but if you're like average or below, I'd put her probably either like A or B tier. But just saying that for like the higher tier players that actually know how to play her, I'd probably put like an A+ tier. I think she is really good. I think the only thing that's really maybe holding her back is just the amount of raw healing numbers in the game. A lot of the damage you do just gets healed up so fast. That might be one of the things that maybe kind of holds her back. But even then, if you're so good at her, that doesn't really matter that much. Widow needs an entire rework. I don't know what they need to do to rework her, but she needs an entire rework. She's either incredibly cracked or she's just fucking god-awful. There is no in-between. I don't know. I'd probably put Winston like a B tier. Not really bad, but not really crazy either. I think he'd use some slight buffs. I don't know. I would not buff his mobility, though. I think they would need to give him some more health or something. I would not buff his shield. I would not buff any of his mobility cooldowns. I think maybe a little bit more health. Give him like 50 more health or something. I think that maybe be a little bit better for him. Zarya's still crazy, going right up into SS. Broken tier. They gave her a few nerfs for the start of Season 7. I think they reduced the size on the shield she's able to give her allies. And I think that they slightly decreased the amount of damage they're able to take. But she's still crazy. Especially in your solo queue games when you're playing with randoms. Nobody sits there and waits for a Zarya's cooldown on her shield to just run out. They just shoot at the Zarya. They see somebody moving, they just shoot at her. And then they feed her a bunch of charge and they just feed her damage. And then she goes and rolls your entire team. Still busted. Zenyatta. I think Zenyatta is probably the only other support that I would not put it like above an A tier on this list. And the main reason why is just because he has no mobility, and I think his heals are, compared to like a lot of the other supports in the game, the only thing that he has to really heal a team to full is his ult. Apart from that, he's just mainly a damage or bot. and he does get dove kind of easily, but even then I wouldn't say he's really bad with how good supports are. Ana's going right to SS, broken tier, kind of self-explanatory, she does it all. Nothing with her has changed at all, she's so good. Credible heals, great CC, great utility, everything you want out of a support. Sombra's going into needs rework again, epic fail tier. So the main thing they wanted to do with Sombra is rework her so she had more of an identity and made it so she fell out of the role of just like pretty much just standing there and pretty much hacking the tanks is what she pretty much did for pretty much the entirety of Overwatch 2 now. Keep in mind, she's been reworked a few times already. They had some minor reworks. They gave her a new ability, Virus. They reworked her teleporter now to where you throw it and it's instant after a few seconds. You don't have like a teleport on your teleporter. They got rid of that entirely. But like, what is with Sombra? What has really changed? They've also buffed her SMG to where it does more damage and it has a tighter spread at the start of firing, so you're able to do more consistent damage. Like, I'm asking you guys, like, what has really changed with Sombra with the rework? Because she does the exact same thing. She has a little bit of a different kit, but all she really does is just stand there and hack the tank still. So what did the rework do to Sombra to make her actually different? She just stands there and non-stop hacks the tank, and now she, instead of actually having like less damage, but like a longer hack, she actually, instead of like the hack being longer, she just has more burst damage. So she'll stand there and just follow the tank around, hack the tank every time she has it off cooldown, and then throw Virus at the tank to burst them down and do a shit ton of damage. And sit there and fire at the tank and farm ult off the tank. And then every time she has an ult, she'll throw herself right into the middle of a fight, or right where the tank is when they're fighting, and then ult again, do a shit ton of damage with your ult, hack the tank again off cooldown when they're trying to get away, and just keep killing the tank over and over. So it's another hero that pretty much makes tank insufferable to play the game. Even after the rework, I think this is probably the worst rework of all time out of any single game so far. Out of Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, this is probably the worst rework ever. And I have no hope for them actually reworking Roadhog after this at all. I think they're going to completely fucking butcher and like absolutely ruin Roadhog. Either he's going to be absolutely fucking giga-buffed, or he's going to be somehow worse than he already is. And being somebody that has is one of my most played heroes is Roadhog, that's going to be really sad when that does happen here in probably like a month or two during mid-season. Awful. If anybody at Blizzard is watching this video, I don't know how you guys can actually rework a hero and somehow make her the same. How do you rework Sombra and then she does not change at all? Fail. Whoever was in charge of reworking Sombra needs to be terminated. They need to be given their pink slip and they need to go find the door. They should be fucking terminated. They are awful at their job. I could probably rework Sombra better and not even get paid to do it. And I could probably make a better ability and like make her more unique to the point where she's not a fucking just stand there and hack the tank bot the entire time and make the tank's game and life miserable type hero that she's been doing the entire time already. I know, I thought the rework was supposed to prevent that and make her give her an entire new identity and actually make her like not as frustrating to play against and actually make her give her like a bunch of different tools to use and that type of thing. But she's pretty much the exact same thing. Instead of a longer hack though, she just does more damage than she did last season. That's all that's changed with her. She is pretty much the exact same in that way though. Garbage. Awful team. Awful balanced team. Whoever reworked her should be terminated. Orisa, wow, who knew this one? Going right on up into SS tier. I think the two tanks you play right now, if you actually want to have fun playing tank, are Zarya, which I'm going to put way right over here, and Orisa. These are the only two tanks right now that if you actually want to play a tank and have fun and actually do something, these are the two tanks you actually have to play. The rest of the tanks are pretty much irrelevant, or they just get shit on by a bunch of common stuff, or they can't do enough damage, or that type of thing. There's some major drawbacks to them. These are the only two tanks that actually do their job and can actually have fun playing, if you actually end up playing them. Unfortunately, I don't play Orisa, or I don't play much Zarya, so I have had fun playing tank recently. Doomfist, A+ tier. The only thing that's holding him back is there's so much healing in the game and there's so much CC to the point where with how much damage he does, he can't really even kill anything without any help from anyone. He can't really like 1v1 people anymore, just how much healing there is. And everybody has mobility or some type of CC to throw at him. That's the only thing that's really holding him back. Moira's going to A+ tier, incredibly good. Nothing with her's really changed though. Brig got buffed. I don't know why they buffed Brig. I'm putting Brig in A+ tier. I really am. They buffed the damage on her whip. I think it was from like 70 to 80, and they also increased the knockback slightly. Why did Brig need a damage buff to one of her abilities? I have no idea. Again, another balance change that they just throw into the patch notes for no reason, and then we'll be looking back like a month or two from now and be like, oh yeah, she got buffed. Why did they buff her? Oh, now she's busted. Well, I wonder why. I have no idea. Ball sucks. Balls fucking are awful. Ball needs some major changes, but I do not know what they would even do to actually make him better. Because Ball's one of those heroes that if you actually, like, majorly buff him in any way, he just becomes giga broken. He just becomes so annoying to play against. So it might actually be a good thing that Ball is unplayable right now, because he's just really annoying to play against when he is good. I don't know. At least for me, I'd rather him being bad than actually be good, because I hate playing against him. I don't know. Maybe if they would nerf Sombra and a bunch of the other shit that actually just, like, absolutely shuts him down and makes it miserable for him to play, though, maybe he would actually be good. I think the problem with Ball is a lot of shit that just destroys him and makes him bad. It's just really good right now, and once that type of stuff gets nerfed, maybe he would just rise up and be a lot better without any changes. I don't know. Ashe. I'll put Ashe in A tier. I think she's balanced right now. Nothing too crazy. I think she's overall balanced. Baptiste going right into SS tier. Busted. Guy doesn't die. Baptiste does not die. Crazy heals, crazy damage, has immortality field, and then when you finally destroy the immortality field, then he has regenerative burst, and then he has his support passive to keep him fully healthy again as well by that time. The guy does not die. If you somehow die a lot on Baptiste, you're just an awful player, because the guy is fucking unkillable. He has all the tools to never die, and even like less than like 5 times per like a 20-minute game. Sigma, I'm gonna put Sigma in A tier. I think the only reason Sigma is balanced right now is just because all the shit that really counters Sigma is just incredibly good. And once that shit gets nerfed, then you'll see Sigma being played a shit ton more. But all the shit that destroys him is just incredibly way better than him right now. Echo, I'll put it in A tier. I think she's balanced right now. Nothing with her's really changed. Soldier in A+ tier. Still does way too much damage. Needs to nerf her damage. I think her damage is crazy good. I'll put Junker Queen in A tier. I think she's, out of all the tanks in the game, I think she's probably the most balanced tank out of all the tanks, which isn't saying much, but it is what it is. Kiriko. Hear me out, everybody. Hear me out. I think out of every single support in the game right now, I think Kiriko is probably the most balanced support. I do think that. I think compared to all these other supports, I think what they need to do is they need to round the game and they need to balance the game around Kiriko. I think that's what they really need to do. She has really good damage, but most of her damage is skill shots. You gotta land headshots to do damage. Her healing is decent, but you gotta actually land and aim her healing. She has a teleport, which is probably the best thing about her, and a cleanse, but the cleanse is on a really high cooldown, and her teleport is also on a really high cooldown. And then she has an ult, but like her ult, you actually have to use at a really good time. And it doesn't really charge the fastest if you're not healing that much, so I don't know, you gotta have to have the really good combination of actually healing and doing damage to have her ult charge really fast. So overall, I think out of all the supports in the game, I think the most balanced one, at least in my opinion, is Kiriko. But I don't know, I know there's gonna be somebody that has a problem with that, so I'm not gonna talk about it much longer. Ramatra, still A+ tier. I think Ramatra could be SS tier, but some of the shit that shuts him down is just all in the SS tier. Zarya shits on him, Orisa shits on him, he gets destroyed by Bastion, he gets destroyed by Reaper and Mei. Ana shits on him, Baptiste makes shit unkillable, so he can't do nothing. I know that's kind of the problem with Ramatra. I think he would be way better, but everything else that's way better than him is just way better right now, so. Lifeweaver going to SS tier. What a surprise. And I might as well just put Illari up in SS tier too. I might as well put her up in SS tier as well. These are two supports right now that take no skill to play. I think if you guys want two of the best supports right now, I think the two best supports right now, I'd probably put At least out of all the supports, I'd probably put Lifeweaver and Illari. I think they're the two best supports right now. And then probably Ana is number 3. Those are the top 3 supports. Illari got a bit of some small nerfs on her, like her alternate healing with her healing beam. They nerfed the healing slightly. But apart from that, she got really no other changes. She has probably the best support ult in the entire game. You can actually wipe teams sometimes with an Illari ult. That's how good her ult is. People do not know how to play against it, and it has really no checks at all, apart from maybe a few specific abilities in the game. I think it's just way overtuned and way fucking busted. It is way too good. I don't know why it's still in the game the way it is. Her heals are crazy. She has a turret that heals the team for you, so you don't even have to fucking heal your team. You can just sit there and do damage non-stop. Charge your ult and let the turret heal for you. Same with Lifeweaver. The guy has incredible survivability. He has Flower to pretty much go up into the air, get to high ground whenever you need to get you out of danger and make it so you never die. His heals are crazy. I think he probably has the second best support ult in the entire game with Tree of Life. Tree of Life pretty much makes your team, whoever's standing in the radius, pretty much unkillable. If you're losing team fights when there's a Tree of Life on your side of the field, or when you're fighting, your team is awful. If you have a Tree of Life, you should pretty much just win every single team fight at that point. It makes your team pretty much unkillable, especially with how much extra overhealth you get and how much health you're getting per second. It's crazy. Not to mention his damage is way too consistent, I think, now. They buffed his damage and his damage capabilities to now where he's able to, like, actually 1v1 a lot of the DPS now. Before, his damage kind of clunky and his form switching wasn't really the most fluid, but they just keep on buffing and buffing and buffing the guy over the last few seasons already. It's just crazy. And now we're at where he is, where you pretty much you just stand there and click a button and you just fucking Giga heal all your DPS and Giga heal your tanks until you have an ult and you throw your ult out in every team fight, and that's pretty much what you do. Somebody dives on you, you throw it on a flower and you go up into the sky and you don't get killed. Kind of how you play him, and you run away. Brain dead. Takes no skill. Lifeweaver is probably the most brain dead support in the game. I think Illari and Lifeweaver take no skill to play. If you guys are somehow losing and doing bad on these two heroes, you're just awful at the game. I think they take no skill to play. A fucking brain dead, like, 2-year-old that doesn't even know how to fucking pick up a controller can probably play Illari and Lifeweaver and win the majority of their games. And the guy probably would never even play a game. Probably only play his Roblox. In his first game of Overwatch playing any of those heroes, he would probably win. I don't know. That is the entire list, y'all. That is the entire list. I could sit here and rant and talk about how bad the game is balanced and how power creep and the supports are just running the game right now and how tank feels so miserable, but I'm going to probably save that for an entire different video. Kind of talking about Season 7 and how the game feels and why the game is just kind of suffering right now. But I can tell you guys right now, I think it's probably the worst balance the game has ever had. Even in Overwatch 1, there was some bad balance, but I don't remember it being this bad. I really don't. You have over like 75% of your fucking hero roster in the top tiers of the game. And the majority of these heroes are supports. That is really fucking awful. That is really bad. And then you have some stuff down here that is either just fucking absolute garbage, or you have stuff that's either niche at best, and you have a really small, limited amount of heroes that actually are balanced. Granted, it's better than having some balanced heroes than none, but having, what, 6 heroes out of an entire cast of heroes already? Like, what, 40-something heroes we already have? That's not good numbers. That is not a good percentage. I don't know. And then you have a fully reworked hero that got fully reworked, and she's the exact same, but she just had like a playstyle shift. So, like, instead of CC, they changed her CC to be more damage, and that she just does the exact same thing, but with more damage. Don't know what to tell you guys. I have no idea what to tell you guys. Apart from that, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. 100% opinionated. If these videos do well, I'll keep on bringing you guys these tier lists every new season. Apart from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in a future video. Got a bunch of stuff on the way, a lot more Overwatch 2 content on the way, and a bunch of other things, so you guys not want to miss it. Peace out, everybody.